Hello, and welcome to the Youth Pulse podcast with me, Dikodi Andrew, where we discuss pressing issues of this generation with heartful conversation, inspiring stories, and diverse perspective on girl-child marriage, reproductive health, education, youth champions, and climate, among other compelling topics, meeting your needs. Join us today to be informed, empowered, and engaged. The Youth Pulse podcast is speaking from our hearts.
Hello guys, my name is Dikodi Andrew. This is the Youth Pulse podcast and this is episode 6 from the season 2 of this very podcast. And every time we're speaking from our hearts, and each and every time as well we do have different topics and different guests. And as for today, we are going to be talking about violence, abuse and negligence when it comes to youth, and what and how people need to know about those one and how to avoid them. And every time that we are discussing these very critical issues, I'm being joined by a young South Sudanese who is very passionate about such topics, and as well we're going to be diving in together with her. So why not welcome her, as she is part of the UNICEF Young Reporters. How are you?
I'm okay.
Okay, you can tell us your name, where you're coming from, and as well what are your hobbies?
I'm by the names of Naomi Momone Joseph. I'm a UNICEF Young Reporter, and I really just do love to talk. I think that's one of my favorite things to do. Advocacy mainly.
Okay. Yeah. In terms of, I feel like you're a senior for Oliver, right?
Yeah, indeed.
Which course do you want to do?
Medicine.
Hey. So now people who talk a lot, they need to really focus on that one, yeah?
I just feel like I can correlate both things.
Okay.
Yeah, medicine and also speaking on behalf of other people.
Sure.
You know, there are different areas where you can access that. Advocacy can't only be in a specific area, but you can also do it from the hospitals, looking at the health of people.
Definitely,
and so on.
true. And as we have mentioned in our today's topic, we're going to be talking about violence, abuse and negligence, what youth need to know. And first and foremost, when it comes to those words that we have mentioned, what come to your mind always?
For violence, I think it's simple. Violence can be a physical, it can be in different forms. It can be in a physical form, emotional form, or many other. Yeah, those are one of the things, or many of the things that youth are facing today, mainly today in South Sudan.
Manata Hassan can kill result and raso ke bize charge atanoke emotional abuse.
Definitely, but there are different levels of abuse. There is extreme and there is low. Yeah, I can consider
that's
that
jokes.
low.
That's side of jokes.
Yeah.
And in terms of our community, I feel like we have witnessed a lot of, or even experienced the violence in our midst. And when it comes to you, have you ever witnessed this form of abuse or even violence or negligence in our community or school, and how common it is?
Personally, I haven't experienced it that much, but I am not saying that this kind of things are not happening in our communities. Yeah, for example, the prevalences of violence, abuse or neglect differs differently from the community or the school area or where you come from, because there are other areas where it has been normalized to being a very normal thing, and there are some places where it is still developing, and there are some places where it is really safe for you to be there without experiencing such kind of stuff.
Definitely. So I think I can concur with you, because like in terms of environment, I feel like sometimes environment really contribute into such activities in our media, and as well as a community sometimes we try to normalize everything, but some things are not to be taken that way, because I feel like it could develop to something that we don't know. Maybe emotional damage. Maybe people are started thinking otherwise. Maybe even try to suicidal thinking. You might think like, the best, it's just a word. Or even at school, some people tend to bully kids at school, and they feel like, it's okay, but not knowing what that person, whenever they go home, they started thinking about. That will be taking me to another point, is that what do you think might be causing all of that, especially to children and as well to teenagers, to youth in general?
Mainly some of the often causes of violence, abuse, or neglect can be poverty, lack of education, especially. That is one of the biggest. We have exposure to violence at home. We have substance abuse, for those who do drugs, societal norms that normalize this kind of activities, that normalize aggression into our daily lives, and power imbalances to children or youth.
Definitely true. And also in terms of the young ones, that thing, it will stay in the heart, because I remember back in the days there used to be that very one uncle. It's a kind of uncle. They said, you start running, or you have created that feeling. Uncle there batal because he's beating you, or he's beating others. But in terms of physical abuse, I feel like it have a lot of effect, because like the one I have mentioned, because it's more of emotional thing. It have stuck with me. Uncle, let me just run away. But as well, in terms of general pointing out, apart from it affecting mental or even emotional well-being, but also the confidence and even in school performance, because like physical abuse, I will decide like, I don't want to go to school. There's that one teacher who will beat me all the time. I don't want to go. Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think about this?
I think physical abuse can really impact into someone's life, that moment when you're being caned every day, frequently. And there are some teachers, they just do that. I don't know why, but they just do that. And it's really impacting negatively on young people's health, confidence, and school performance. You see, today in schools, we are afraid of our teachers. We are supposed to be cooperating with our teachers. Yes. We're supposed to be talking with them as in our peers. We respect them, but we are not supposed to be afraid of them. Is it Kanosul Fikalamta asking like, I did not understand this or this in school. Children are now afraid of doing that because you're always going to school with a stick, stuff and like that. So you're affecting them negatively, that they will be afraid to approach you, and it will deteriorate their school performance, definitely.
But if you tell a teacher this thing, you say like, many people have been raised, great men, great women who are outside there, they have grown in that such of a manner. What will you be saying to such teachers? Because I feel like sometimes it's not every time you need to raise your hand on a child. Even not teachers alone, like also parents, not all the time you need to be raising your hands.
Yes, some of us are really fragile. But if you say that, they say these things do not happen in our communities, but these things do happen. They should just know that people vary. People vary, really. There are different types of people in every society. There are the ones that are sensitive. There are the ones that take things for granted. And there are the ones that can be stubborn at times, but you don't know what they're going through from inside. So I think the best approach is, as a teacher, you're supposed to study your student. You should know which kind of approach you should be using in this kind of student and the other one. There are types of people, that there are also us who really need to talk to.
By the way, were you beaten once at school?
Definitely. That is obvious.
What was the story? That one beating that this one can never be erased from my memory.
I'll leave that for next time.
Okay. In terms of why I mentioned this, because like in terms of all of this, it also, apart from it being leaving us with a physical damage, but I feel like it's still psychologically, as I have mentioned earlier on, it still have an effect. But for you, I would also love to know your view. How do you think the psychological abuse could really lead to self-esteem? We have mentioned examples, but I feel like there are more examples, especially in our society and in the peers as well.
So I think emotional and physical abuse can severely harm a human being's self-esteem or mental health, leading to profound loss of self-esteem, the confidence, the pride you had, the meaning of being born, of leading others, of living with purpose will slowly disappear. And if those things happen, we sometimes we will talk to people about it, but sometimes we just shut up with it and we keep it inside ourselves, which can sometimes become big issues in the society. Maybe you'll see someone distancing themselves from you. You'll be thinking, why? I haven't done anything wrong, but such kind of things affect us emotionally, especially the youth, especially those in adolescent ages. Some things can really be upsetting them easily. So, it can really lead to profound loss of self-esteem.
Yeah. And also in terms of bringing in parents, I feel like also parents contribute into this conversation in terms of what we have talked about. Violence is the environment. Generally can raba fi environment and makoizo, even if the teens around have grown in a violence environment, of course it's going to be affecting them. In terms of abuse, bidugita sabana har bilel, you've been abused, words that even some people cannot pronounce. Like, it's just very heavy. Generally kanjali mushitima, you're the same parent who is going to beat that Itali minwen.
Exactly.
Yet you're the same person who abused the child from day one lahadi oraba fi mahala lifukogode. So I feel like sometimes it's also part of negligence from parents on how they don't know how to maybe to talk properly in front of the kids, because like I can tell you some of the roles of negligence, it can be, we can see the basic needs, maybe the bukun akil, maybe care or attention. If you try to maybe talk some parents out about giving attention to the kids, badala ana bura tebiu akil ta jo sugu wala ana bura jere fetis akil lele with attention anna karaba ba attention da yatta kawajade. Like they have a lot of negative thoughts about negligence, even like just giving them awareness of the need of them attending to their kids. I don't know with you, like, do you think is going to play a big role, or negligence can play a big role in the development of a child or a teen?
Yes, a very big role. Once you neglect a child, you've neglected the child's future. You know, once you say "Janade kalas oraba kelogeni hardware," the way we grew up, you know, you're just leaving your child onto the world. Sometimes we will struggle back onto our feet to manage to cope, but still these things will affect us. Once you neglect your child, it means that tabisibo kalaskeda le dunia, you're leaving that child to learn on his or her own, cope on his or her own. So this kind of things, I don't think it is really necessary for the youth. You have to grow up with the child.
We didn't ask for us to be born.
For real. Yeah. Teach them, you know, provide us with the right ways, the right things to do, the right ways to follow. You say at the end of the day, tabijali go bini abiga jerefibet tarajel tagal malo. Negligence. Tabisibo bezede, you go home, you go to work, you don't even think about what these kids will eat, warana. You don't even think about how this kid feels being left home alone without adults, you know. Yeah, these things come in different forms, and sometimes we don't really think about how these things will affect us, but they do affect us. Yeah. They really do.
Coming back to the peers and as well the youth themselves, in between themselves, itabiligo maybe one in a 5 or 2 in a 5, they're being abused, they're being neglected, or they're being let me say violated in a way or another. But instead of us reporting, we use it as an example to joke about it. Which will definitely be adding the cannabis bizidu ZUNR. You're just adding more oil to the fire, in which it really create more, let me say, a more effect on the person itself. But now to you, how do you think the peers or the friends or the youth themselves could help to stop all that from happening?
As a youth, you know, you can be observant. Yes. As a youth, you can be observant of your friend. You can be supportive. Instead of talking about that person's situation, take it into your own hands. Look at what that person is going through from your angle and feel what they are feeling. Sometimes it can be hard for you to notice But usually youth, they have this issue. If they are going through something, they don't first go to the adult, they first go to their friend.
Yes.
Yeah, their friend, they tell them something like this has been going on with me, and like this. So as a friend, you don't just have to talk to that person or go and laugh about it behind their back.
Even they use it as shamarat.
Adil. So we can do something much better. Be observant of your friend, be supportive, talk to that person. In case intrusive thoughts bigabijalo kef, you talk to that person and make sure that that person has been cancelled. You mentor that person. If you can't, please, there has to be a level of things that you can do. If you can't, you can go to the next level. So maybe you can go and report to an adult who understands, or you can also go to, if it's happening at school, you can also go to your headmaster. There are some schools that have school counselors. There are some schools that have women's teacher, boys teacher. So you can go to such kind of people. They do have experiences. They will help you.
Sometimes I feel like if it comes to this point, it's just because the young ones are not aware about how they can go with this, especially in terms of, okay, bidugana fibet, I haven't done something wrong, but there is a way that if awareness were made, or if such a conversation is being talked about at school in our environment, I think it will have reduced a lot of cases related to abuse, related to violence, and even negligence. Do you think such things are happening in our beloved country because of the lack of knowledge and lack of awareness of our right as youth and children?
Yes. Yes, I really do think it's one of the biggest reasons we are going through the abuse and neglect, because we don't know how to go about it. Awareness of our rights varies today among very many youth. There are some people in some parts of Juba, they do not know what rights are.
Yes.
Yeah, as we are speaking right now, there is someone who doesn't know that they have the right to eat, they have the right to freedom. True. They cannot even recite it. So being educated or being made aware of our rights can really help us. Through that, I would also like to say I urge organizations and very many people that help out there to go through talking to girls, talking to boys, talking to people out there. Even the teachers, we can play a very big role by telling our students they should be aware of their rights. They should be aware of the things they are supposed to be having, the privileges they have as human beings, as children, as youth.
True. And I also feel like it's not also only the peers or the youth, but I feel like also community could help in reporting such thing, because some parents tend to be beating their children, or even because you haven't or because you have brought a low grade, there will be no food for you for 2 days. Some parents do that, by the way. I heard a story. I don't know how true that story was, but some stories of such, it's not only in South Sudan, but across the globe, in which parents tend to punish kids in a way that is not supposed to be punished to a child. So I feel like the community also have an upper hand in reporting such cases, and even not the school teachers alone, because like you as a teacher, you have also a role to play. Jena de kanalela gisimto begin kef, you go and ask what's wrong with you, what is happening, and if they report it to you, you need to be reporting it to the higher authority or someone in such position. But when it comes to parents, zamasan okambada dugu janitor, a neighbor come and say, what a dugu janitor suker, they will turn the whole situation on you. Because they say like, who are you? I'm the one parenting my child. It amen do sort if he janitor, and it create a lot of dramas. But us coming back, how do you think in terms of the communities, in terms of as well our families, our school can support the youth that are experiencing violence and as well abuse in their midst?
For communities, I can say communities do create a very big role in preventing such kind of cases. As a community, if you provide safe reporting mechanisms or counseling services to the youth and children, maybe educational programs on telling them about their rights or where to report and how to report, this can really help. Because Finas, there are some communities today where you are just a member of that community. You just stay in that area. there is nothing going on, that's just your place of residence. But as a community, you guys can come together. We look upon such kind of things. We talk to the high authorities, because in every community there is someone who is higher than the other. So
Yes.
you talk to the high authorities, tell them we have such kind of things, for people to come and talk to the youth in your area. Or maybe you can simply just tell the children, tell youth. You know, youth are very quick in spreading the word. You tell them, if such kind of thing is happening to someone, you come to me and I will take it higher to the next level. You see, we can also use the youth themselves to make awareness, to be the ones preventing it in our communities, but it all has to come through the community leader.
That's true. In another hand as well, I feel like the easiest way to create awareness is social media. Why I mention social media? Because everybody nowadays, with the, I feel like the telecommunication companies are trying their best to reduce the data fees here and there. They're trying their best, as I'm saying again. But also, I feel like social media, in which the youth are now going too much on it. You cannot see a teenage or even a student without a smartphone. They're either on TikTok, they're either scrolling on Facebook, they're either on Snapchat, there are different social media that they prefer mostly. But I feel like with social media, the peers or the online space could contribute either negatively or positively to the negligence and the abuse and the violence. What do you think, or how can we protect ourselves from the negativity and maybe adopt the positivity of using social media to advocate for abuse and negligence and violence?
You know, first of all, as you're approaching those social media spaces, online spaces, you should know that they can facilitate such things like cyberbullying, harassment and exploitation. And through knowing that, you should also know that you can protect yourself by learning safety online habits like keeping your things on privacy, having passwords, having locks, and so many other things. So as someone who uses social media, you should be aware of such kind of things. And also for the rest, you can, maybe you're using social media in the right way, but there is someone out there who is not using social media in a right way, or someone who is going through abuse and that person does not access social media. You know, we can still advocate through our phones. We can still send messages. The TikTok videos you do, maybe your lips syncing to a different song, then you write a caption up there, please be aware of cyberbullying, be aware of neglect and abuse, or anyone should help. Such kind of things, they can really help.
Okay. I feel like each and every time, whenever we are speaking from our hearts, the time really flies so fast, and we came to an end of the topic of today. But before, of course, we sign out, I would love to hear from you. What message or that point that you really felt like, hey, this is how we need to be ending negligence and abuse and as well violence against ourselves and as well against many outside there?
My message is empowerment. We should empower each other. I urge everyone out there, every youth out there, the more you support, the more you empower another person, the more you talk to that person, you will create a difference in the community or where you are. One person, maybe saving one person's life cannot be enough, but that person will go and save another person's life, you see. So we need to be empowered. We need to be ready to face such kind of things. We need to cooperate together to work to erode such kind of issues, the violence, the abuse, and the neglect in our societies.
Okay. Thank you so much, Naomi.
Thank you.
UNICEF young reporter, she shared a lot, and I felt like, hey, you need to be here next time, and you really need to be contributing, because it's me, it's her, it's many of us outside there, to change all the negative things that are really affecting us as the youth of this beloved country of ours, South Sudan. From me to you, thank you so much, and let us remember that violence, abuse and negligence can affect any young person outside there, but speaking up and seeking help can save life. Stay strong, stay aware and support each other. My name is Diko De Andrew. This have been the Youth Pulse Podcast, speaking from our hearts.